Hi guys, today I'm going to take a look at a range of products and in particular a little known product called Factory Design Utilities. Um, and with this product I'm going to incorporate in, as you probably would expect, advanced steel. So I'm going to start this sort of a workflow video with, I've started up Advanced Steel 2018. And as I said, Factory Design Utilities, and that gives you the ability to configure and lay out factory designs, production facilities, offices, pretty much anything that you want. And Factory incorporates Autodesk Inventor, and it incorporates Navisworks, and I'm also going to try and incorporate advanced steel. So as I said, it is a factory, and I'm going to start from scratch in advanced steel. I'm just going to go application menu, save as, and I'm going to go to my desktop, create a new folder, and I'm going to call it the Greytech Factory. So I'm going to create a folder, and I'm going to go the Greytech Factory, and I'm just going to mark it with AS for advanced steel. So I've saved a blank template, and now I'm going to go in and I'm going to create a very quick sort of production facility based on a portal frame type structure. So I'm going to select the portal frame command, and I'm going to pick a start point which is 0, 0, and I'm going to make this about 20 meters wide, and I'll let the dialog box configure the size of the portal frame. So we'll zoom out slightly. So that is pretty much what I've got for one bay of my portal frame. I'm going to go to the section. I'm going to change that to a 12-degree roof pitch. So the eaves height is 5 meters. That's pretty okay. And we're going to leave that there. The sections, so I'm going with a 406 and a 356. I have no real need to change anything as such. So I've got a simple bay added in my system. Next up, I'm going to start adding in some connections. So a simple base plate, and do I want to add additional concrete? Nope. And this will add a simple base plate to the column element. Just have a little zoom in. No real need to change anything. I'm pretty happy with what I've got there. Use my joint copy command to copy it to the other column, and no for the concrete. Then we'll do the eaves connection, so column to rafter, if that's what we want. I'm just going to use my system to go to the library element and then load a pre-configured joint. Sorted by rafter, and I'm going to go with an eaves haunch flush end plate configuration. So once I add that, again use the joint copy and select that from here to here, and then the apex. Again, we can configure this, so I'm not particularly keen on the stiffeners both sides, so just go to none and none. Go to the bolt groups, and I want 1 there and 3 here, and then we just change the offset of that down, and we probably just need to move that down slightly so we get something like that. So with that in play, I'm going to use the transform element command. I'm going to select my main components and my outer joint box. Ensure additional connectors is turned on, which is pretty much what we want. We want 8 number and we want it in the X direction. So I'm going to say that I want them 6 meters apart. and this will create a copy of each of the portal frames. So that is my initial factory. So you can see there's just a portal frame building, and we've got several along there. So the next thing is to put in some simple tie beams. So we can go something there, change its position to there. I'm just going to put a bit of a lighter section in and give it a model roll. And we do the same process here to here. And then what I like to do is put the tie beams in on the rafter. So I'm just going to put the UCS on my rafter. And I'm just going to move that down to there. UCS on this rafter to there, and then we can draw in the tie beam section again, and then we can simply move that down into position. We have a look at the connection vault, single threaded end plate. We'll connect that to there. You can then, I'm just going to copy all my tie beams and just make sure you do select the correct points that you're copying from. I do think I made a little mistake on these ones, but again I can just delete and then reset my UCS. I'm just going to move my UCS. I'm going to move it up to that height, and I'm just going to draw in a very simple mezzanine floor. So just something pretty simple like that to get us started. You can go in, put in all the connections, but again that is just more advanced still. So I've got a basic structure, just because I'm used to it, I'm just going to number off the model. Just put all that in. Now, when we're looking to export this out and get it into the factory design utilities, the easiest way is to simply use the Greatech Power Pack, and we're going to export the model out. So Greatech Power Pack, export model to ACES. And in my testing and in my trials, I found that the best way to put the advanced steel model into the Inventor platform is to go via the SAT file. So I'm going to choose, instead of a drawing, I'm going to go to a SAT file. I'm going to name it ACES underscore the Greatech Factory AS, and I'm going to make sure that it goes to the correct folder, which is desktop, the Greatech Factory. So there's the file, and I'm going to include all the elements, and I'm going to simply click OK, and that will export the file out. And if we just go to our Windows Explorer, we go to the desktop, Greatech Factory, and there we have the SAT file created. You can leave advanced steel open because we can look at synchronizing the changes between the structural steel layout and what we do in the factory. So what I've done is I've started Inventor Professional 2018 and I'm just going to simply click open. So I'm not going to create a part or a drawing or assembly yet. I'm just going to simply click open. Find the Greatech factory and change the file of type to a SAT file. This will then allow me to just open the exported file. So just simply click open and then it creates it as, so we get options for what we want to do. Now you can create them as anything. So you can just create it as an assembly. A multi-body part will allow you to select individual components, so you will be able to select the individual beams and columns and all the plates, and I do find that probably just gives you more flexibility, particularly when we go to lay out the factory and how we can pick the host elements for adding our factory components. So when you open the SAT file, it asks you to create it. So I'm just going to create it as a solid, and I'm going to go from the source object and I'm going to give it a name, and that is my AS Greatech factory. That will create it in the file location, and so it's AS Greatech factory underscore is going to be the prefix for the file name. We simply select OK, and that will open up the SAT file and convert it into a multi-body part. So you can see that what we've drawn in advance now comes automatically through into Inventor. So you can see with all the detail, all the components that you've done, they're all there. And you can see that you get the full hierarchy in the tree, and you've got each individual object and everything done as a multi-body. What I then like to do is, you can see that once you install the factory design utilities, you get the factory tab, and the first thing that we can do is, once we've got this saved, we can select it up here in the hierarchy tree, right click and click copy, then go to factory, and this time we want to go with a new layout. So this opens up a new factory design layout, and you'll see that when you do it, you get this. So this is sort of a banded edge to show where we actually want to position our factory. And then I'm just going to go and I'm going to Control V, and then that will just automatically position the Greatech factory part into our factory layout. So once we've got our layout, I'm just going to go File, Save As, and I'm going to go and save this on the desktop, and we go to the Greatech factory, and this is saving it as basically an assembly, my Greatech factory. So you can model whatever you need to do in terms of the structural components within Advanced Steel, and then this gives us the asset already in. So you can see that it is your Greatech factory, which is the little factory layer, and then we have the assembly part added into it. And this is where we can now get to work and start to create our factory components. So with factory utilities, you get the asset browser, and assets are created generally within Inventor. They can be converted from SolidWorks, from 3D Solids, and what the assets are, they're the individual components and the layout of the factory. So if we just go up a level, you will see that you get system assets, and that this comes as standard, where you get things like material handling, vehicle and concept cars, racking, storage systems, and you've got a full search. So you can search for, say if you want to search for a saw component, it will bring in whatever's there. But we also have user assets, and I've created a user folder called Greatech Factory, which is just some standard factory assets that I've downloaded. So if you go in and you find a system asset that you need, so say for instance we want some process equipment for a CNC machine, we find a particular vendor, we select it, we can right click and we go download asset, and it will simply download the little asset here. I can add it to favorites, but what I can also do is copy And I want to go to user asset to Greatech Factory, and then that adds it into the folder. So it runs a little process where it copies the asset across. So now we can get to work in setting out the factory components. So we go to user assets, Greatech Factory. So I'm going to keep this pretty simple. I'm going to start with a safety fence, and I'm going to put, and you can see that you double click the asset and it then inserts into your model. And if we look in, you can see you can place the asset in 3D. You can also place it in plan. So we have a look here, and we zoom in. I'm going to start laying out some railing and a safety fence here. So you just simply click in the model, and then you enter to confirm it, and it repeats in the command. You see you get this little sticky yellow line, so it's looking and it finds a relationship between with the previous one, and when you hover over it just sticks into position, and then you just go and you keep placing the assets. And if we look in, you can see that it has then placed the railing into position, and there we go. So we can then look at if we want a corner safety fence, and then we can go with the straight. So it's just a matter of dragging and dropping the assets into position. And you can see I am doing it in 3D if I want. Enter to confirm the position. Then we can start to look at if we want to put in some more detailed assets. So I've got a metal coil roller, and I'm going to position it here. And you can see sometimes the orientation. So you click it into position, and then we can simply click the Z axis, and we can rotate. And then we just hit enter to confirm, and then we can go if we want some tracking in the system. So I can go a straight roller, and just maybe better done in plan, just position that there, enter to confirm it, and then I can just keep going placing components. If I want a wooden pallet, I could just position it there and enter. Another one there. I've got a little forklift truck, so you can see it's a very simple process of just adding the assets into position. And you can see you can quickly start to incorporate your factory. So I'm just going to be rather quick here and just add in lots of little assets, random positions. Let's put in this plasma cutter. You can see obviously the bigger the asset. So I want to position that there. And I'm not sure that's in the best position, so I'm just going to click. You can see you can position them at any angle. Again, I've got that position a little bit wrong, but you can right click and you do have the free move option. We can just move it into position. You can see with free move it obviously takes out the complete Z coordinate, so you can select it in the list, right click, and we do have a delete option to take it out. I'm going to go back on top view, put in a CNC lathe. So I'm going to start putting in some roller system, so position that here, and then put in some flat, and you see the way they all just tie together with them being linked elements. So you just pick your asset, drag and drop it into position. So I'm just going to put in some racking. So you can see you can start to position your factory. I'm just going to put in some safety rails along the side. Bum, bum, bum. I'm just going to pop in a couple of last minute assets just so when we do take it out to a further level of detail you will start to see. So you can position the assets as much or as little as you want. So again, I've just went with a very simplified factory layout. So you can see you set everything out in 2D or 3D, whatever you want. And then I'm going to right click this and I'm going to create a drawing view. And I'm going to go with the English. Let's go with the metric system. We go with a GB drawing border, but again, you can incorporate your own into it, and this will then allow you to produce some drawings based with the advanced steel, obviously structural steel work, but we can also have, so I'm just going to go with the top view to start with, and I'm going to change this view to one is to, well, let's say 300. I'm going to create some subsequent views from it. You can see the level of detail is all there. So we've got all our steelwork detailing, and then we've got all the subsequent drawing views. We go back to our factory, we can create another drawing, so I can create a drawing view. Create the elevation views. Select OK. And again, this is again just standard Inventor information, so you can go in, you can break it out, you can slice it, you can crop it. But if we just zoom in and we have a look, you can see that I've got all my machinery, all my information is all fully visible. It all can be rendered up and viewed in whatever format that you want. So as part of the factory design, we can also link it out into Navisworks, so we can start to introduce that engine. So I've got a factory, I'm just going to save it and click yes. So we've got all these dependent files with all the individual assets that are added to the system, and we can use the Navis engine for rendering, for walkthroughs, for clash detection, for timelining. So I've got my factory components here, and probably what I would do is just let it save slowly but surely. And the first thing I like to do is just resize the floor, so just take it back in so it's just a little bit neater in terms of size. And then we can also put in, so once we just confirm that, and then we can create a solid floor. So once we create a solid floor, I'm just going to actually just resize that again, so take that to there, and we click done. And just by putting in the solid floor just allows us to obviously walk in this when we take it out into the Navisworks. So we've just put a floor in. Now you have a range of options. We can go to Navis, or we've got this option here for sync AutoCAD. So I'm just going to select it. It says the active document must be saved before we can continue. So let's click yes to save it, click OK. So what happens is it starts AutoCAD architecture. It indeed also has a factory design ribbon where I can sync it back and forth. And this is a 2D representation. I can go to my home tab, I can click wall, and I can add in walls between the columns, and you'll see that I'm going to click wall. First thing I'm going to do is click wall. I'm going to draw a wall. Just change the justification to center, and go perpendicular. I should really turn on my object snaps. I'm just going to copy them from there to there, and I'm going to draw a wall from the midpoint here straight down to here. So if we just go into a 3D mode, you can see that I've just drawn some walls between the columns. And the beauty now is that if I go to factory, I can sync this back to Inventor, and that will take the changes that I've added in AutoCAD, although it being AutoCAD architecture, to add in some walls. So in order to complete, we must close the current document. We select OK. Would we like to save it? We click yes, and then this flicks back into Inventor, and then it processes a synchronization back into Inventor, and you can see that the walls that I've added in the AutoCAD architecture platform have then been synced back in to my Inventor platform. So it just takes a little second to sync all the information and data back through. So we're at 80%. So we go back and forth. We then can, once we're finished, we just click save, click yes to save all those dependencies. So you can model whatever you need to in Advanced Steel and then add all the assets that you have. So if you've got your own and you manufacture your own little assets, you can build them all in Inventor, save them all into your asset library, then drop them in and lay out your factory. Now you can start to go to sync into Navisworks, where you can start to do some fun things with walkthroughs and rendering and provide animations, which we're going to do. So the system will then go and launch Navisworks. So it's just working through all the assets, importing them all in. And there we have it. So we're in Navisworks. You can see that so you get the full model completely in. So I'm going to start with putting some third person in. And I'm going to walk around my model, and with the collision you see that he pops down onto the floor, and we can now start to walk. Well, we probably should really walk. See, with gravity and clash detection you can't obviously go through the building, but if you take collision off, you can see that I can then walk through the building, and then I like to put it back on. You can see that we've got a full third party or a third projection. We can see that I've placed my pallets in the right position. But what you can start to do in Navis is that you can save viewpoints. So if I start to walk about again, I can save that as a viewpoint, and I can say that that is view 1. And then I can go and have a little, let's have a little look over here. So, and we walk. And we have a little look around there, and then we save that, and then we go over here. And we save that. and you can see that there is clash detection, and he will go underneath that. So let's take him along, and he goes underneath the rollers. And there we have a full view. I'm just going to save that as view number 6. What we can do with these is we can add an animation, and I'm going to call it Greatech Factory Walk 1, well 2 in this case, and then I can drag the views that I've done and position them onto the animation and then I can simply hit the play button, and you can see that he will do a full walkthrough based on the path that I've done, taking in all the views that I've got. So we have a look at this machine, then we look at this one, and you can see you can start to get a full realistic view of your complete factory and layout. So you can start offering this to clients. So obviously this is incorporating the full steel structure from Advanced Steel, all the Inventor and factory assets, and then through into Navis. We can also then, if we wish, go to the render mode. We've got really neat stuff now with all the Autodesk stuff, so we can render this in the cloud. So I can go, you know what, I can go with, instead of a still image, I'll go with a panoramic. And we'll just go with standard quality and a standard width, and I can just click start rendering. This will take up the complete Navis model up into the cloud, and will create a realistic rendering interface for us to view. You get the little bubble, so you can click it and you can view the rendering process. And we just sign in to view the renderings. You can see that it is here. It was submitted 52 seconds ago, and it will take a little bit of time. So we'll just let that run. So there you have it, a full run through. So taking the steel structure, using factory design assets, and then taking it out into Navis and adding some viewports, and then just a factory walkthrough. So I hope you can start to see that you can give full insight into the project, and these tools with Advanced Steel, Inventor and Navis work all seamlessly working with the factory tab to sync in and out. So each one has a factory tab where you can sync in and out of the components, and then see and you can start to see the images slowly starting to come through on the screen. And if we move it down, we can go full screen. You can see it's still working the render process, but it's a full panoramic. Image, and there you go. You can see that you've got, it's quick and easy, upload it to the cloud, and you can then share that out to the gallery, or you can share it to a 360. So pretty easy, pretty simple to do. It's just a really nice sort of finish to the project, and you can create as many of them as you need to. So I hope you enjoyed that sort of quick run through on factory design. If you want any more information, just give me a shout out, contact me at Greytech, and we'll be more than happy to go through Advanced Steel, Inventor, Navis, and obviously Cloud Rendering. So thank you very much.